Brothers, sisters, my beloved Lucifers, it is no coincidence that you are here today at this very moment listening to these words. There are messages that reach us like a whisper, gentle and discreet, and there are others that fall like thunder, shattering everything we believe to be secure. The one we will hear this week belongs to the second type. Heaven has risen, and when heaven speaks, neither earth nor men can remain indifferent. The approaching Sunday will not be an ordinary day. While many will continue with their routines, unaware of what is about to happen, you have been given the privilege and the responsibility to be alert. For those who are awake will not be surprised like thieves in the night. They will know how to interpret the signs, and upon hearing these words, their spirit will vibrate like a bell announcing the mystery. For weeks now, the testimonies have been multiplying. People in different countries report seemingly small phenomena, but when combined, they form a clear pattern. The air is heavy in the early morning. Many say that on some recent days the wind stopped, the animals fell silent, and the atmosphere felt strange, as if the whole world was holding its breath, lights in the sky, not shooting stars or satellites, but red and white flashes that appear for seconds, leaving those who see them with a mixture of fear and awe. Lonely bells. Churches are closed with no one inside, but the bells ring out in the early morning, waking entire villages. Stars, don't you feel it? These aren't isolated events. They're warnings, small signs that prepare us for something bigger. And what's to come won't last for hours, but for nights. A darkness that won't be a simple power outage, nor a common meteorological phenomenon. It will be something deeper, more spiritual. But we mustn't get ahead of ourselves yet. We will preserve the mystery, because heaven doesn't reveal its secret all at once, but in layers, like someone preparing their heart to receive what could break it if it arrived all at once. What I can tell you now is that the days are numbered. And while the world is distracted by parties, political debates, and spectacles, the heavens are aligning their signs. It won't be a surprise to those who are watching, but it will be to the millions who prefer to close their eyes. Brother, sister, write in the comments, "My lamp is ready," because that phrase is a symbol of preparation, like the wise virgins who saved oil for the time of trial. Your comment is not an embellishment, it's an act of faith. And when you do, you will be counted among those who wait not with indifference, but with vigilance. In many homes, a strange restlessness is already felt. Families that never prayed before now gather at night. Young people who had mocked the subject begin to silently ask, what if it's true? Elderly people who had lost all hope now feel a fire in their hearts, as if their final years take on greater meaning. It is the Spirit blowing where it wills, preparing the lights for what is coming, and at the same time, the world's powers react as they always do, with mockery and silence. The press silences the testimonies. Politicians talk about staying calm while nervously looking at the calendar, and experts desperately search for explanations. It's collective illusions, it's social media suggestion. Everything has a natural cause. But you and I know that not everything can be explained with science, because there is a language that does not belong to the earth, but to the sky, and that language is being heard louder than ever. Sunday will be a threshold. I won't say yet what will happen, nor how it will manifest itself, nor where it will be most evident, but listen, silence will be the first sign. Before darkness, a profound silence will come. The birds will stop singing, the dogs will stop barking, and the wind itself will still. That silence will not be natural. It will be the bated breath of the universe, awaiting heaven's command. Stars, do not be afraid. This message is not to frighten, but to prepare. Because those who take refuge in faith will not be alone. The Virgin Mary will cover those who call upon her with her mantle, and Saint Michael the Archangel will raise his sword against the darkness. What is coming is not to destroy, but to purify. Stay with me until the end, because in the next parts we'll uncover, step by step, what this mystery will be like. Only then, at the right moment, will we reveal the full prophecy. Darkness does not have the last word, because even on the longest nights the stars shine brighter. Brothers, sisters, my beloved stars, if in the first part we spoke of silence as a proclamation, now we must open our eyes to the signs that are already occurring, and that tell us with increasing clarity that we are approaching a decisive moment. Heaven does not speak in coincidences. Every detail has a spiritual weight. Every phenomenon contains a message. In recent weeks, thousands of testimonies have multiplied. These are not isolated rumors in a remote corner of the world, but an echo that resonates across entire continents. Listen carefully. Lights in the sky. In different cities at the same time, witnesses report seeing reddish and silvery flashes crossing the sky without making any sound. Some mistook them for airplanes or satellites, but soon realized that their movement did not follow any known trajectories. They vanished into thin air as if passing through an invisible veil, unexplainable aromas. Entire families have reported smelling incense and flowers in their homes, even when there were no candles lit or bouquets present. Many fell to their knees, convinced it was a visit from heaven. Bells in the early morning. In villages where churches were closed and empty, the bells rang alone at midnight, awakening entire communities. The sound was so intense that some described it as a military call, as if it were a heavenly alarm. Stars, don't you see the pattern? These aren't unrelated natural phenomena, but rather pieces of the same message that heaven is sending. The approaching Sunday will be the convergence of all this, and as always, the world reacts with disbelief. Newspapers ridicule it, television networks treat it as mass hysteria, politicians call for calm, and scientists struggle to provide superficial explanations. But the more they try to extinguish the fire, the more the Luceroses' faith is ignited. Because those who have heard the bells, seen the lights, smelled the scent, can no longer be convinced otherwise. Luceros, write in the comments, "Heaven is speaking." Let it be recorded not only in this digital space, but as a testimony against the forces that mock us. Each of your words is a spark that ignites an invisible network of faith, uniting thousands of brothers and sisters around the world. In many homes, the contrasts are already painful. There are parents who forbid their children from speaking about the subject, yet those same children escape to the night vigils with tears in their eyes. There are wives who kneel in silence to pray, while their husbands mock, saying that Sunday will be just another day. In offices, some workers feel the need to share their dreams and visions, but they remain silent for fear of ridicule. Yet the pressure in their hearts increases like a volcano about to erupt. This is all part of the plan, because true faith is always tested in the fire of contradiction. If everyone applauded, there would be no merit. If everyone believed without difficulty, there would be no purification. But when the world laughs and you remain steadfast, then your light shines even brighter. Stars, prepare yourselves, because the testimonies announce that before the darkness comes, there will be a great global silence, not a partial or localized silence, but something that will be felt in several regions at the same time. It will be as if all of nature has stopped its course. Animals will fall silent, clocks will seem to stop, the wind will not blow. That moment will be the prelude, the unmistakable sign that heaven is about to open the seal. And while the powerful try to deny it, some of them secretly tremble. Priests and religious leaders of different denominations have begun organizing intense vigils. In several cities, entire groups spend entire nights in prayer, convinced that Sunday will bring an event that will divide history. Do you realize, Lucifer? We're already in the midst of the mystery. What seemed like a distant announcement is now knocking on our doors, and although we won't yet reveal the full prophecy or the countries where it will be most visible, the message is clear. A darkness is coming that won't be ordinary but spiritual and purifying. I want you to understand this. It's not about fear, but about preparation. Heaven never announces something to paralyze, but to awaken. Don't ignore the signs. Don't say, it's just a coincidence, because when heaven speaks, the ignorant are left without excuse. Stay with me until the end, because in the next parts we will descend ever deeper into the heart of the mystery. And remember, he who watches will not be caught. Brothers, sisters, my beloved stars, as Sunday approaches, the tension in humanity grows like a river overflowing its banks. The heavens don't need to open yet. Just observe how souls react to realize that something profound is already at work. Because before the darkness arrives, the whole world has been divided in two. On one side, those who believe. They are those who kneel every night, who light a candle in the darkness of their room, who write Amen with tears in their eyes, convinced that their words are seeds of faith that rise to heaven. They feel the call in their bones. They sense in the air that a trial is approaching, but also a promise. For them, this Sunday is not a reason for mockery, but a day of preparation and surrender. On the other side, those who laugh. Those who use social media to make jokes, to record videos, mocking the vigils, to call fanatics those who dare to speak of what is to come. Sarcasm floats on their lips, but in their hearts beats a fear they dare not confess. Because even though they mock, they too feel that the air has changed, that the earth vibrates with a murmur that does not belong to this world. And in the midst of this division, homes become silent battlefields. In many families, parents believe while children doubt. In others, young people pray while adults mock. Husbands and wives argue in the early morning. One lights a candle, the other angrily blows it out. Siblings who were always inseparable now remain silent, unable to reconcile their visions. Darkness has not yet arrived, but the chasm separating faith from unbelief is already felt in hearts. Stars. Don't you remember Jesus' words? 2 will be in the field, 1 will be taken and the other left. This Sunday is a prelude to that truth. Humanity is divided not by borders, nor by languages, nor by wealth, but by the choice of each heart, to believe or to mock, to watch or to sleep, to prepare oil for the lamp or to leave it empty. On the streets of several cities, shocking scenes are already emerging. On one side, groups of young people praying loudly, singing hymns under the night sky. On the other, cars drive by with loudspeakers, laughing and shouting insults. In the same office, while some workers pray in silence before starting the day, others secretly film them to mock them on the internet. This is the spiritual battle made visible, light and shadow coexisting in the same space, but without mixing. Bright lights. I want you to understand something crucial. Division is also a sign, because before darkness falls upon the earth, it has already fallen upon the hearts of many. And that darkness is not fought with debate or argument, but with the light of faith. Therefore, write in the comments, I choose the light. May your every word be a spiritual sword raised against the darkness. In different parts of the world, priests, pastors and spiritual leaders are calling for prolonged vigils. Some have declared 3 days of continuous prayer, convinced that heaven requires special preparation. And during these vigils, some surprising scenes have occurred. People who had lost their faith return in tears, confessing sins they had hidden for years. Young people who had never prayed before spontaneously fall to their knees, feeling a fire they cannot explain. Skeptics who came to laugh end up crying and asking to be hugged. But at the same time, persecution is growing stronger. In some countries, authorities try to disperse vigils, citing security reasons. In some neighborhoods, intolerant neighbors smash candles and makeshift altars. The media ridicules families preparing with prayer, calling them fanatics of darkness. And yet, the more they attack, the more faith grows. Because true faith flourishes precisely in the desert of contradiction. Lucifers, listen carefully. Darkness will not only be an external phenomenon, it will also reveal the state of each heart. When it arrives, There will be those who feel covered by a blanket of peace, and there will be those who despair in the midst of an unbearable emptiness. Therefore, the division we already see is merely a foretaste of what is to come. Sunday will be a mirror. It will show who we really are. There will be no masks, no excuses, no neutrality. Light and shadow will confront each other, and each soul must choose its place. Stay with me, Lucifer, because in the next part, we will see how, in the midst of this division, miracles multiply like torches lit in the darkest night. Even if the world laughs, the faith of the Lucifers will never be extinguished. Brothers, sisters, my beloved Lucifers, if the division of the world is already an evident sign, what is happening now is even more surprising. Because while the shadows mock and disbelief multiplies, heaven responds with miracles so clear, so overwhelming, that not even the most skeptical can ignore them. It is as if heaven were saying, I choose the humble, the little ones, to show my power before the test comes. Miracles are multiplying in places far and near, in forgotten villages and noisy cities. And although the news media tries to hide them, the networks of the witnesses themselves spread them like a fire that no one can extinguish. Listen to some of them. Candles that don't go out. During a rainy vigil, the lit candles should have gone out in a matter of minutes, but witnesses claim they remained burning for hours, even as the water flowed like rivers around them. Those who witnessed it wept, convinced that the light was a symbol of the Virgin Mary's mantle over her children. Invisible bells. In several villages, at midnight, the ringing of bells shook hearts. But as they approached the churches, they discovered that the ropes were still, that no one was inside, and yet the sound continued to fill the air. The elders assured them, it is the angels ringing the bells, because heaven wants us not to sleep. The sick were healed. In hospitals, terminally ill patients began to rise from their beds. Incredulous doctors confessed there was no explanation. A little girl with a high fever was instantly cured when her desperate mother placed a small rosary in her hand. A blind, elderly man partially regained his sight just as the community sang the Hail Mary in the town square. Luceros, these miracles are not made-up stories. They are testimonies collected in different countries from the lips of simple men and women who don't seek fame or attention. And the most striking thing is that they all agree on one thing. Miracles occur in the context of prayer. It's as if heaven were telling us, don't wait for the spectacle, wait for intimacy. I manifest myself where there is faith, not where there is curiosity. And while the miracles grow, skeptics are faltering. Some who had attended the vigils only to mock ended up in tears, moved by what they saw with their own eyes. One man who considered himself an atheist confessed between sobs, if this isn't from God, then who is it? Because no human power could do what I saw tonight. Luceros, write in the comments, I believe in miracles from heaven. May every word be a public testimony, not of superstition, but of living faith, because every declaration we make is like a candle lit in the darkness. The most surprising thing is that miracles don't only happen to objects or sick people, but also to hardened hearts. Young people who lived immersed in vice have felt an irresistible force that led them to kneel in the street, confessing their sins aloud. Families estranged for years were reconciled in a matter of minutes, embracing each other with tears in their eyes while praying together. Scenes like these are repeated in such diverse places that it's impossible to call them a coincidence. And yet, the world's response doesn't change. Newspapers remain silent. Politicians evade the issue. Scientists repeat hackneyed phrases. Collective suggestion. Placebo effect, tricks of the mind. But how do you explain candles burning in the pouring rain? How do you explain bells ringing without anyone ringing them? How do you explain a terminally ill patient waking up at the same moment an entire community is praying? No, stars, these are not illusions. They are warnings of love. They are calls for mercy. They are heaven saying, I don't want you to be lost, so I am showing you my power before the darkness comes. And while this is happening, many feel a deeper warning in their spirit. These miracles are merely the prelude to something greater, because what is to come on Sunday will not be a small sign, but a sign that will divide history in two. Stars, make no mistake, miracles are not an end in themselves. They are not meant to entertain, nor to convince the curious. They are signs of preparation. Every bell that rings alone is an invisible cry, prepare for night is coming. Every candle that burns in the rain is a silent symbol, your faith will not be extinguished. Every sick person who heals is a reminder, life is in my hands, not yours. And if miracles are already shocking, what do you think will happen when the announced darkness arrives? What will happen when silence covers the earth and the entire world is left in darkness for 3 nights? Brother, sister, do not be afraid. The miracles we already see are also promises. Just as the Virgin has shown her power in small things, she will also protect her children in great things. No one who invokes her name will be left helpless. Stay with me until the next part, because what we're about to see will be even more intense. We're approaching the prophetic climax, the moment when heaven opens its seal. Miracles are the language of God's love, and that love never abandons those who wait for it. Stars, we have waited together. We have walked the path of signs, miracles, and persecutions. Now heaven opens its seal, and what until now was a whisper becomes a clear voice. The prophecy is this: 3 nights of darkness will cover the earth, as a warning and a purification. It won't be a power outage, it won't be a simple meteorological phenomenon. It will be a profound silence and a darkness that will descend upon entire nations, testing the faith of those who watch and awakening those who sleep. 3 nights in which human light will be unable to sustain itself, and only the light of faith will shine in homes. The Virgin Mary has said it clearly in the hearts of those who listen. My children, do not fear. The darkness that comes is not to destroy you, but to purify you. For 3 nights the earth will be wrapped in a cloak of silence. Those who remain with me under my mantle will be protected. Those who call upon my Son will not be touched by fear. But those who mock and close their hearts will feel the weight of despair. And these are the countries that will feel the impact of the signal most strongly: Mexico, the United States, Colombia, and Argentina. Mexico, a land that has so often been a refuge for Marian faith, will be tested in cities large and small. Vigils will multiply, and in the midst of darkness, homes will light candles that will never go out. The United States, a nation powerful in material terms but weakened spiritually, will experience a shock that will shake its cities. It will not only be the silence in the streets, but also in hearts, as if the noise of its greatness were suddenly shattered. Colombia, a country of struggle and profound prayer, will witness massive conversions. In the midst of darkness, entire families will be reconciled, and many young people will hear the call to commit their lives to God. Argentina, a land wounded by divisions, will see how darkness exposes the fractures of its people. But it will also be there that prayers will flow like rivers, and the Virgin will lift up the humble like torches in the night. Stars, do not be fooled, it will not be easy. 3 nights of darkness will test patience, hope, and faith. There will be those who despair, those who scream in terror, those who run aimlessly searching for an explanation. But those who are vigilant, those who light their lamp with prayer, will experience peace amidst the chaos. During those nights, miracles will multiply. Candles will not go out, homes will remain calm, while fear devours the streets. Sick people will be healed, children will sleep peacefully, while adults tremble. Because the Virgin does not abandon those who invoke her. Stars, write in the comments, my lamp will not go out. Declare with your words that you will stand firm, that your faith will not be defeated by the shadow. Each comment is like a spark on the spiritual map, uniting thousands of stars into an invisible army preparing to resist. Remember what the Virgin said: "Do not leave your homes. Do not open the windows. Do not respond to the voices that call from outside. Kneel, pray, light a candle, and trust. I will cover your houses with my mantle." This Sunday will mark a turning point. It won't be the end of the world, but it will be such a powerful warning that no one will be able to ignore it. Mexico, the United States, Colombia, and Argentina will be the epicenters of this signal, but the echo will reach all of humanity. Stars, do not be afraid. Fear paralyzes, but faith sustains. Prepare your home, prepare your family, prepare your heart. Because when darkness falls, the only thing that will remain will be the light of those who choose to believe. And when the third night ends, a new era will dawn. Those who survived in faith will emerge renewed, and the world will no longer be the same. For darkness will have definitively separated light from darkness. Stars, we have reached the heart of the revelation. The Virgin Mary warned, 3 nights will cover the earth with a darkness that is not natural, but spiritual. And now, in this story, I want you to close the eyes of your body and open those of your soul to imagine what is to come, because this is not a myth, but an urgent warning. The first sign will be total silence. The wind will stop blowing, the birds will fall silent, the animals will remain motionless. Anyone awake that night will feel a strange weight in the air, as if the universe itself had stopped breathing. Clocks will tell the time, but time will seem to stand still. Then, little by little, the light will begin to fade. We're not talking about simple power outages. There will be places with generators, lamps, batteries, but nothing will turn on. The darkness will be absolute, enveloping, impenetrable. In Mexico, entire cities will be plunged into a thick silence. Large cities accustomed to constant noise will experience a terrifying emptiness. But in houses of worship, the lit candles will remain steadfast, shining like beacons of hope. Families gathered to pray will feel an inexplicable peace, while outside the streets will be filled with shouts and confusion. In the United States, where power and science seem to dominate all, the darkness will reveal the nation's fragility. The great towers will be seen as silent shadows, and those who mocked will run desperately, unable to understand what is happening. But those who heeded the warning and prepared will remain calm, their lamps lit, covered by the Virgin's mantle. In Colombia, the contrast will be stark. In some neighborhoods, fear will grip the crowds, but in others, vigils will light up the night with songs and prayers. Young people who had never prayed will spontaneously kneel, and older people who have waited their whole lives will see the promise fulfilled. Darkness will also be a time of conversion. In Argentina, the division among the people will be even more evident. Some will scream in despair, running aimlessly, while others will clutch the rosary with tears in their eyes. In the squares, those who mocked will feel an unbearable emptiness, but in the homes where prayer was offered, there will be calm and reconciliation. Stars, do not forget the words of the Virgin. Do not leave your houses. Do not open the windows. Do not respond to the voices calling from outside, because during those 3 nights, things that are not human will be heard. Familiar voices will call from outside, trying to deceive the unsuspecting. But the faithful who remain in prayer will know that it is all part of the test. The first night will be one of confusion. Many will not understand what is happening and will desperately search for answers. Some will run into the streets, others will try to communicate without success. But the stars, prepared, will remain steadfast, knowing that the signal needed to arrive. The second night will be a trial. Fear will intensify, and darkness will try to enter homes to sow despair. It will be the night when strange voices, knocks on doors, and distant screams will be heard the most. But the faithful who remain on their knees will feel angels surrounding their homes. And although chaos reigns outside, there will be peace inside. The third night will be different. In the midst of the darkness, a gentle glow will begin to be felt. At first invisible, then visible to those who pray. It will be like a burning ember that grows in the heart, a spiritual fire that strengthens. Many will experience visions of the Virgin covering them with her mantle, of Saint Michael fighting the darkness, and of Jesus extending his hand to the nations. And at dawn, when the sun finally returns, the earth will not be the same, because those 3 nights will have definitively divided humanity. Those who remained steadfast in the faith will be renewed, and those who mocked will be broken, unable to deny what they experienced. Luceros, write in the comments, "I will survive in faith," because these words are more than a digital echo. They are a cry of spiritual resilience, a public declaration that even if the world falls into darkness, your lamp will remain lit. Miracles will multiply during those nights. There will be homes where the scent of heavenly flowers will fill the air. There will be children who will sleep peacefully while their parents tremble. There will be elderly people who will rise from their beds with renewed strength. Because heaven does not abandon those who believe. Stars, do not be afraid. The darkness will be real, but so will protection. And when all is over, a new dawn will show who chose light and who chose shadow. Stars, after 3 seemingly endless nights, the earth finally awakens. The sun, which had been hidden under a blanket of silence and shadow, returns with a brilliance never seen before. It is not the same light as always. Its rays pierce the air like golden spears, illuminating a world that is no longer the same. All of humanity, in an instant, knows that something irreversible has happened. In Mexico, the first reaction is tears. Entire families take to the streets, candles still lit after the dark nights. Many embrace strangers like brothers, convinced that together they survived a trial that marked their souls. The bells ring untouched, as if the earth itself were celebrating a new dawn. But faces are also downcast. Those who mocked and ran without faith now remain silent, unable to explain what they have experienced. In the United States, the contrast is evident. Large cities, accustomed to dominating everything with technology and power, found themselves powerless in the face of darkness. Now, at dawn, thousands of people gather in parks and improvised plazas, offering public prayers. Many leaders who had previously remained silent now ask for forgiveness. The noise of consumption and spectacle stops for a moment, replaced by the sound of prayers in different languages, united by a common experience, the recognition that heaven spoke and no one could stop it. In Colombia, the streets are filled with song. Young people who spent nights vigil now raise their voices like a spiritual army. Reconciled families walk together, holding rosaries. In Medellin, Bogotá, Cali, and other small towns, testimonies of miracles occurring in the darkness multiply. Children who saw figures of light around their beds, elderly people who regained their strength, sick people who were inexplicably healed. The entire country vibrates with tears of repentance and songs of gratitude. In Argentina, dawn brings with it a silence laden with meaning. Cities divided by political and social tensions now share a common memory. 3 nights of darkness that no one will ever forget. Many take to the streets on their knees, kissing the ground. In Buenos Aires, entire groups pray in public squares, while in more remote provinces, farmers set up makeshift altars to give thanks for having survived. And although some still try to explain what happened as a natural phenomenon, the people know that what they experienced was a fulfilled prophecy. Stars. This dawn is not just the return of the physical sun. It is the beginning of a new time, because after 3 nights of darkness, hearts are no longer the same. Divisions were exposed, the scoffers were silenced, and the faithful were strengthened. The whole world saw that the Virgin does not abandon, that heaven protects, that prayer is more powerful than any human system. But not everything will be easy. The darkness left wounds. In many homes there was weeping and despair. There were those who could not bear the weight of the darkness and broke. We will have to rebuild. We will have to reconcile. We will have to choose anew every day. Because the trial is over, but the spiritual battle continues. Luceros, write in the comments, the light won. Because that phrase isn't just an embellishment, it's a testimony that will remain etched in the memory of all who passed through the 3 nights. Declare with your words that you witnessed that darkness doesn't have the last word. The impact of this dawn goes beyond the countries singled out. All over the world, even in nations where faith seemed to be fading, voices are now being raised asking, what should we do to be prepared next time? Because everyone knows that if heaven has spoken once, it will speak again. And most importantly, the lights, that is you and every brother and sister who stood firm, now shine even brighter. For when the world was sinking into darkness, you were living lamps. And that testimony will never be forgotten. Stars, do not be afraid. What comes after this dawn will be even more profound, because heaven has not finished speaking. This was merely a warning, a purification. The true outcome is yet to come. Stay with me, because what we'll see in the next part will be the echo of this dawn in the nations, the awakening of multitudes, and also the reaction of the powerful who will be unable to silence what they all experienced. Lucifers, after 3 nights of darkness and the most surprising dawn of our era, not only families changed, not only people were shaken, the powerful also had to face a reality they could not control. Because what happened cannot be silenced with statements or disguised with superficial headlines. Darkness covered everyone equally, rich and poor, rulers and ruled, believers and scoffers. In Mexico, authorities attempted to explain what happened as an extraordinary atmospheric phenomenon. Scientists at press conferences spoke of cosmic alignments, temporary solar blockages, and magnetic anomalies. But while they offered these explanations, people recalled that candles had been kept lit in the rain, that the sick had been healed in complete darkness, that voices and bells had been heard in the early morning, and then the people realized that this was not science, but prophecy. Politicians were forced to remain silent, because no rhetoric could counter what everyone had seen. In the United States, the reaction was even more tense. Television networks attempted to downplay what happened, calling it an inexplicable global blackout. But images of families praying in the streets and crowds kneeling in parks went viral within hours. Political leaders were divided. Some called for calm and spoke of not falling into fanaticism, while others, with tears in their eyes, publicly admitted that what they had experienced had been a sign from heaven. For the first time in decades, millions of Americans felt that their military and technological power was of no use against the voice of God. In Colombia, religious leaders took to the streets alongside the people. The president, in a nationally broadcast speech, acknowledged that the country had witnessed a miracle. "We can't continue living as if nothing had happened," he said with a trembling voice. And in many cities, even authorities who had previously dispersed vigils now joined them. The contrast was so stark that the entire nation understood. Those who mocked were silent. Those who believed were exalted. In Argentina, the debates became intense. While some politicians insisted that everything should be explained scientifically, others called for public prayer. In Buenos Aires, crowds filled the Plaza de Mayo with lit candles, proclaiming that the darkness had been a message from heaven. And although some media outlets attempted to discredit this, popular pressure was so strong that journalists ended up broadcasting live footage of families praying, singing, and testifying to miracles occurring in their homes. Stars, human power was laid bare. because the darkness showed that no army, no government, no science can stop a decree from heaven. And even if they try to disguise the truth, millions of witnesses in Mexico, the United States, Colombia, and Argentina will no longer allow what they experience to be silenced. Write in the comments, "Heaven overcame the world." Because that's exactly what happened. The powerful tried to control the narrative, but the family's experience was stronger than any rhetoric. Most striking is that some leaders, broken by what they experienced, began to publicly apologize. In the United States, a senator who had mocked the issue confessed on television, "During the second night, I heard voices calling my name. I fell to my knees, terrified. Now I know heaven spoke to us." In Colombia, a renowned journalist wept on live television as he recounted how his sick daughter had been healed in the darkness. In Argentina, a governor declared that he had seen the Virgin Mary in a dream while the city was plunged into silence. Lucifer, the contrast was clear. While the powerful sought human explanations, the people understood that it had all been a prophetic warning. And the message was one: no human power can resist the voice of God. But this doesn't mean everyone accepted. Many became even more hardened, saying it was all a coincidence, that there was nothing supernatural about it. This division is also part of the prophecy. Because the darkness didn't come just to frighten, it came to separate. Those who chose the light shone. Those who chose the shadow sank deeper into their unbelief. Stars, we are facing a new era. The dawn after the darkness has exposed governments, the media, and the powerful. And what comes next will be even more decisive, because humanity can no longer say it wasn't warned. Stay with me, because in the next part, we will see the spiritual awakening of millions of souls and how the Virgin Mary is gathering the Lucifers to prepare for the next battle. Lucifers, after the 3 nights of darkness and the dawn that revealed the fragility of the powerful, something even deeper began to happen, an unprecedented spiritual awakening. Never before had humanity felt so clearly and shared the voice of heaven calling to every heart. At first, the world was silent. It was a silence unlike that of darkness, not heavy or terrifying, but a silence of reverence, like when everyone in a church stands respectfully because they know the sacred is present. That silence quickly transformed into tears, songs, and prayers. The streets that during the darkness had been places of fear were now filled with people kneeling, raising their hands to heaven. In Mexico, plazas became open-air temples. Thousands of people carried lit candles, forming rivers of light that flowed through cities and towns. Entire families who had never prayed together before now embraced each other, reciting the rosary with fervor. Testimonies multiplied. Mothers who claimed that during the second night they heard the Virgin whispering in their homes. Young people who saw luminous figures protecting their houses. Elderly people who regained their lost hope. Mexico became a living cry that resounded. Heaven has spoken to us, and we will never be the same again. In the United States, the awakening was more complex but equally powerful. A nation accustomed to self-sufficiency discovered that darkness had left it naked. And yet, in that emptiness arose an insatiable spiritual hunger. Churches that were nearly empty were now filled to overflowing. Parks and stadiums became places of mass prayer. Young people who had previously sought only entertainment began leading vigils with songs and praise. And the most striking thing was to see people of all races and languages united in a common cry: "Lord, do not leave us behind." In Colombia, the awakening was like a wildfire that spread rapidly. Entire cities organized marches of faith, with thousands walking the streets with rosaries in their hands and tears in their eyes. Testimonies of miracles spread like an unstoppable river. Children who spoke of heavenly visions, young people who abandoned addictions overnight, families reconciled after years of division. The entire country vibrated with a burning faith, convinced that the darkness had not been punishment, but mercy. In Argentina, the awakening was a collective cry of repentance and hope. In plazas and avenues, crowds spontaneously knelt, singing ancient hymns and praying with a force that shook them. Those who had previously mocked approached, weeping, begging for forgiveness. In Buenos Aires, in the midst of a crowd, an elderly woman raised her voice, saying, "I saw the Virgin covering us with her mantle on the third night." That phrase went viral, repeated in every corner of the country, as a reminder that the mother never abandoned her children. Lucifer, what happened wasn't just collective emotion. It was a real change of heart. Millions began to publicly confess their sins, to return what they had stolen, to reconcile with old enemies. Young people who had never spoken about faith began evangelizing in the streets. Entire families offered to help the poor and needy. The darkness had revealed who they were, but the light of dawn gave them the opportunity to begin again. And while the people were awakening, the powerful were speechless, because no human power could stem that flood of faith. The media, seeing that the crowds wouldn't remain silent, ended up broadcasting live images of mass prayers. And those images traveled around the world, awakening nations that hadn't experienced the 3 nights in all their intensity, but who, upon seeing the awakening of Mexico, the United States, Colombia, and Argentina, understood that heaven was sending a universal message. Luceros, write in the comments, "I am awake in faith," because this is the fruit of prophecy, that millions of souls who previously slept in indifference now live with a burning heart. The awakening also brought tears of pain. Many acknowledged that they had ignored the signs, that they had mocked them, that they had closed their ears. But heaven's mercy reached them. The Virgin had promised, "Whoever calls upon me in the darkness, even at the last moment, will not be rejected." And so it was. Stars, what the world is experiencing is the beginning of a new era. This doesn't mean everything will be easy from now on. New trials and new battles will come. But after the 3 nights, humanity can no longer say it didn't hear the voice from heaven. Now, each person must decide whether to keep the lamp lit or let it go out again. Stay with me, because in the next part, we will see how this spiritual awakening is organized into a global movement of prayer and conversion, and how the Virgin gathers the bright lights to prepare for the next great battle. Brothers, sisters, my beloved bright lights, we have walked together through the proclamation, the signs, the miracles, the darkness, and the dawn. And if anything has become clear, it is that darkness never overcomes the light. What we experience in this prophecy is a reminder that heaven speaks, that the Virgin Mary protects her children, and that nothing can stop a people who pray with faith. Today I want you to close your eyes, take a deep breath, and join me in a prayer that is not just words, but a fervent cry to free us from all evil, to protect our families, our nations, and every light that stands firm in the spiritual battle. Lord Jesus, King of kings and Lord of lords, today we bow before you as children in need of your mercy. We cry out for your light to cover our houses. May your precious blood be a wall of protection against all evil, and may no shadow have power over us. Heavenly Father, bind every spirit of fear, break the chains of despair, and pour peace upon our nations. Mexico, the United States, Colombia, Argentina, and every land where a Lucero lives. Virgin Mary, Mother of Hope, cover us with your mantle in every day of trial. May our lamps never go out. May our children grow up under your gaze, and may our families live in your love. Saint Michael, the Archangel, Prince of the heavenly militia, lift up your fiery sword against all darkness. Defend the Luceros in battle, protect our cities, and loudly proclaims that evil has been defeated. Lord, do not leave us behind. Make us strong in faith, make us firm in prayer, and that whatever happens, let's never let go of you, brother. Amen. Our Lucifers, thank you for staying here, for praying, for sharing, for being part of this invisible army that shines in the midst of darkness. Subscribing, commenting, and sharing is not a simple gesture. It's an act of faith that extends this message to those who need it most. And prepare yourself, because what is coming will surpass everything we've seen so far. The next message will bring even stronger revelations, signs that will shake hearts, and warnings we cannot ignore. What heaven will announce in the coming days could change the history of humanity forever. Don't miss it, Lucifer. Keep your lamp lit, because the voice from heaven will speak again.